they came out with a ruling today, and I was kind of shocked, actually. Were you?
Yes, I was.
I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
It was very surprising. I didn't think they were going to come out with a ruling today.
right.
I thought they were just going to extend or stop the stay. So
Yeah, those were their choices. They could have stopped the stay, or extend the stay, or rule. But ruling wasn't it. But I didn't think they were going to stop the stay, because I think the court was kind of clear. I felt, but you never know, really.
What surprised us was the fact that it was 5-0, that all of the judges concurred with the opinion.
And the concurring
And
opinion
concurring-
as well.
Yeah,
So people, when they look at it, they need to look at not only the majority, all 5 justices signed on, but there's a concurring one which adds more information about their ruling altogether.
Well, it was extremely validating to see that the arguments that we had been making for the last 5 years, they validated. Not only did they validate it, they expanded on the state's responsibility to protect the public trust doctrine. And that is so critical to keeping Hawaii as we know it, as we love it.
If the process lacks integrity, then so will the outcome, is what they're kind of sending a global message that if you fail in procedure, in other words, if you put the cart before the horse, they're going to have to vacate the whole permit, which is what they've done. They vacated the permit, so TMT no longer has a permit, so there's no threat of them trying to move ahead. What they have done, though, is made it so that we will have to perhaps go back and do another contested case and court case hearing again. And that's fine, because we're prepared to do that.
Not cheap, I imagine.
Tremendous personal sacrifice on our parts,
Yeah.
because we weren't represented by lawyers.
Originally.
Originally, that's
Until-
right.
yeah.
Until the Supreme Court
Yeah.
decision.
And it's just hard. A contested case hearing, you're not required to have a lawyer. And a contested case hearing is an administrative process that's supposed to help the decision makers get informed so that they can make an informed decision. So it's proper for the Supreme Court to say, hey, you guys can't make a decision and then have a hearing because you're not listening to the evidence. And so that's what they're really saying here. And it's important because this has been done in different ways and in different cases, like still the Haleakala case is still pending. So, it's important. I think it will set precedent in Hawaii. When you make the ruling first, you shift the burden onto us, for example, to have to prove what they're saying is true or not true. But the burden is really on the applicant, the person who's applying for the permit, to demonstrate that they're not destroying the environment, that they're not impacting Native Hawaiian rights and resources. And so when they made that decision, in the Haleakala decision, I think they did it similarly, but just a little bit out of range and different from ours. So they couldn't adequately answer that question when Judge Pollack, I think, asked it. It's McKenna who asked, when did you start doing this?
Yeah, how is this different from the
The
Keokewa
Attorney
case?
General, the Attorney General said, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, she said she couldn't tell you when they began doing it, and it was essentially for a bureaucratic reason. They didn't want to have to bring people back because they didn't believe that a lot of people would show up for a contested case once they requested it. Mm-hmm. But in our case, we had it in writing, we had it in person, we had already established standing in a previous court case, so there was no question that we were serious. We were serious, and they knew it.
And the other thing I wanted to point out, too, just for the listeners, too, is that in 2003, when we won the NASA and Keck outrigger case, we won both in a state and a federal court. But Judge Hara already ruled on procedure then that should have held and not allowed the TMT, to come forward again. But they wanted to ignore the previous ruling. So now we're at the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court of Hawaii. And so the Supreme Court of Hawaii, I did have a little bit of hope in that context because they have always ruled on the side of the environment and Native Hawaiian rights. And we weren't asking them to make new law. We were just seeking them to uphold their previous law and in their conversation about the ruling, they explain a whole bunch more. So it's a good ruling.
It's a very good ruling.
Well, yeah, because when you abuse process, and when you kind of abuse the public as well, whose rights and resources are constitutionally protected, you blow it for everyone. And I mean, that's why we've been willing to actually go this length, is to get the right process in hand, because you always advocate for maximum protections and then you're guaranteed minimum, right? So that's one of the things that we've always been doing is, hey, we have to uphold it for, not only the environment, but the people of Hawaii. And it's not just us who are here, in the case, it's for all, because how they handle this case would determine how they will handle conservation lands across the archipelago. Mm-hmm. So this was an important case for that. And so far the executive branch was considering bringing the National Guard against the civilians of Hawaii. That's serious. And the court had to come in and balance that. And thank goodness, kind of in a way, for those three branches of government, to balance, because really the question is desecration, not trespass, or not,
obstruction.
Obstruction. We have, desecration is against the law. And they're kind of just making that part up, and, I'm just saying.
Right.
So thank goodness for the court to come in and settle that and bring everyone back out of their insanity, because the board is clearly not taking it. The court is telling them you have an obligation to affirmatively protect these rights. You can't just sit back and let politics override your decision making.
And I guess you and some of the supporters, not in the Hui but in the Ohana, mm-hmm. took it upon themselves, I guess, over these last several months, take action themselves,
yes,
I guess.
Yes, absolutely. And we're totally grateful for that as well. I mean, we're not only grateful to the Big Island people, but the whole archipelago that have come and stood for the mountain. And not only in Hawaii, but the whole world. I mean, we have people saying prayers all over the world for our mountain also, and people who take care of other sacred sites. And so we have an obligation too to pray for their sacred sites as well. And I think we got some wins on some of these cases too.
When that phase, I don't know what else to call it, but maybe that phase around, I guess it was March 30th, when they blocked the crew for the first time this year. Mm-hmm. And what was going through your mind? Because I got the impression maybe from some other petitioners that you weren't sure what role you guys should play in that. What went through your mind when you saw all that happening, for better or for worse?
No, I know there's misunderstanding about that. We were always clear what we had to do. Sometimes it's not so good if you're in the court to be also in jail, because it's hard to maintain your case in cell block, you know what I mean? Sure. But there was no question that if there was going to be anything that needed to go down, we were going to be there. And so, but also some of the people were saying things to us like, Auntie, let us take this, because we can do this. We can't do what you guys are doing in the court, but we can do this. Because, there's a limited group who came forward and have been in the court all this time. But overall, everyone, the goodwill of the people is what was significant here and played a significant role overall. Just as it was important that we had to have this case and that we had to produce evidence for this case, and the evidence is huge. It goes all the way back to 1995, right? That we've been involved kind of in trying to protect the mountain all this time. And, so the fact that the people came out is just overwhelming to us too, and we're very happy about that. And we just want everyone to continue to stand for the goodness of Hawaii and for all the Aina. Mauka Tumakai.
Well, we've always kept our arguments the same.
Yeah.
That's what's kept us going. We just tell the truth.
Yeah.
And we've always had the same arguments all the way through it. So,
We don't have a new strategy planned.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell what will come in the following days.
It depends on, now it's kind of up to them. I mean, in 2003 when we won the NASA and Keck outrigger case, NASA just basically packed up and went home. And I don't know, the TMT may, because we just got the announcement that the giant Magellan telescope
In Chile.
in Chile did their groundbreaking, and so that's already moving ahead. And those are bigger telescopes than the TMT, so
Yeah.
they might want to invest in those so that they get time on those.
Great.
We're just so grateful to all the people across Hawaii who have supported us all these years and who have demonstrated their support in all kinds of ways, from letters, from being there on the mountain, from helping us with all kinds of things. We're just so grateful for the tremendous outpouring of support and wisdom and ike that has come from people who feel so strongly about the mountain.
And for their prayers and for their letters and for signing all of our petitions all these years and everything. I mean, people come up to you in the store and say, "I'm praying for you," and it's overwhelming. Actually, the aloha is very overwhelming, and we are so thankful for that.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful today for Naivi Wordman, our lawyer, who represented us in the Supreme Court. And I think it's really important that people know that these kind of movements start, they have people from just people that sit at home and pray or talk about it with other people, to the people that write letters and do petitions, and to the people that go to court, and then to the people that post on Facebook, to the boy in Libya who holds up the sign, "We are Mauna Kea," and to the people who get arrested on the mountain. So there's all these different levels of activism and aloha, and it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. The Keystone Pipeline just got turned down and had all those levels of people working on that too. Arctic drilling,
shall know,
and the Oak Flats, the Navajo Indians. So it's just really important that everybody knows that if they don't know what to do, if they're at home praying, or if they're talking to people about it and just stating how they feel about it, how they love the mountain, it's putting out a strong message and a feeling of aloha to the world, and it gets a momentum going, so.
Yeah. So, and even here, the court joined in the goodwill and upholding justice for the world today.